It's John Charles, I'm live. I've got real big problems with transit that I mentioned on the post below, and other problems. I've got a police hack on me. I've got, it seems to be linked to Everett, but it's causing problems for me. They're trying to stop me from posting these things. So this is Tacoma Police involved. Linda Ribley, linked to Shobley, and they're linked to the other names that I mentioned involved in military murders. Linked to transit up and down the West Coast, illegally moving money using transit authorities. Sound Transit is involved in this crime, but it's very serious, the amount of money that's been moved. They're trying to actually move Royal Trust antiquities and things like that through transit stations, which is illegal, and also write fake credit cards like the Crowlesses that are caught today. Using an account called Shobley. Crowless is running my trust fund with credit cards around the world. Crowless is linked to a huge, they're blonde, a huge mafia linked to Pete Larson, Lindemann, Olafson, Tuvlin, Lindemann, Berg, Kemper. These people are murdering my trust fund. They're Swedish. It's not a Scandinavian trust. They're traveling around the world. It has to be stopped. They're actually right now in Bellevue trying to use children's markers to move my trust fund illegally using my name. They're linked to Tacoma Mafia, Chuck Olson, Dave Woods, Dave Hoshko. But they're also linked to this Jewish mafia that we're talking about on the satellites that Bernstein name is very, very bad, who are infiltrated German corporations, Seatlles, Maxwells, and Siemens, using my father's computers and my father's signals, trying to switch it, sending Jewish to the corporations, murdering, and then trying to run the trust fund. So this Rosen gang linked to Roselle, very, very dangerous. Roselli was somebody linked to fishing the Doblers up in Alaska. The Roselles must have been trying to run it with the NFL, with the Jewish mafia, with Stearns, and Rick Welts linked to the Chin Mafia out of Seattle and the Woos. There's a very, very serious crime going on right now. Luke is the name involved. So this Shoble is very important. This Linda Shoble with Tacoma Police and Tacoma Transit, Pierce County Transit, Kitsap County Transit, King County Transit, and Clark County Transit in Las Vegas somehow has a link. They're moving accounts all over the country from our trickle-down payments. So this has to be stopped. San Francisco Transit. Ciblo is a Japanese corporation. They're very involved in this crime. And they killed Germans to take the Buller signals. So it may be Brunel. Dotson's involved, D-O-T-S-O-N. So if you see any Dotsons moving money, it's linked to the Brunel killings. Hartnell might be involved in this crime too, because they're moving port shipments, and somehow Brugler and Ciblo has gotten into these American port accounts. So we're watching a group of guys called Ben Davidson, who was a raider, Ben Rosberg, and Ben Stiller, really involved in this. The Stiller Mafia is huge, linked to this Rosen Mafia, and they're doubling and killing mass people and taking these Christian children's markers and moving them into other people, trying to create confusion. So this is how you can identify the crime. The NBA, Adelman in Portland, he's linked, their family is very linked to this crime. Why these guys like Danny Whiten, Charlie Billows, Patty Billins, Delian Klein, why they're involved in this crime, I don't know. They're just people that got their haircut and they're robbing me. So we know that Kroshkin, Kraskin, or Groslin are involved in changing the IDs on Queen Anne Hill. It's very, very bad. We also have a group called Creekins now involved in this. And Creekins murdered people to move this money. They're linked to Kosovo's. It just goes on. Domlin, Massachusetts, is in Massachusetts right now, linked to Demlin. They're trying to move the Sedgwick accounts. I've got somebody who's wired over the top of me, trying to confuse this whole thing. If anybody can help me with what that name is right now. They said Damelin. Whoever's on the wire right now, I'm getting a wire, repeating what I'm saying, everything I'm saying. Sound Jewish. They said cabling. We're looking at cable right now. A huge problem for me right now is somebody changing, is Frederic Chablis, okay, in France, Frederic. And they're using the name Chabelos and cable. And what they're doing is using the letters to switch them. Or make it really impossible for me to continue what I'm doing. Okay. Dave Hoshko, see, okay, that is Africa. They're trying to push words through what I'm saying. Whoever says okay is not me. Pete Povlin is what they said right there. Dave Hoshko's linked to Dave Woods. He's linked to the Gig Harbor and the Pete Larson's crimes. They're linked to the first police that moved in that started doing crimes in Fife, Washington. That's where a lot of the auto dealers are. And what they did was go into Titus Will Ford and other dealerships, Harley Davidson, around South Tacoma Hill. Okay, a lot of murders. These people are not a joke. They're linked to Rab, they're linked to the Brassfields in Tacoma, they're linked to the Kicks, John Kick, who went down to Vegas and opened up a restaurant. My name's John Charles. It's the Charles Trust Fund, okay? They don't have a right to move shit. They have mass murdered this city. Whoever's saying that it's not John Charles' money now is a murderer, okay? Get them off the fucking wires. And when people can walk by and they're wired out like this business right here, La Escolita, that's why I'm here. There are children here, they're being wired out, and they're acting like they run, like they're bankers running the trust fund with illegal wires they put on kids, like the Humane Society used to do with the dogs, okay? It's inhumane. Everybody's civil rights are being broken to rob this trust fund, and it's linked to Washington, D.C. Now we have Dave Lewis with Como TV saying he's Dave Lewis with the Defense Department, okay? It's out of hand. Charlie, the other one linked to the Benz is Dan Fouts. They're using his name, okay? Really big crime. Kelly DeMarco is linked to Nielsen's, okay? That is, Kelly DeMarco is linked to DeFeo's, McLeese. These are names in Seattle. They're involved in big crimes at the restaurants like the Paragon that's being run now by Paragon down the west coast, like Kells, is run by illegals right now. They were moving my money illegally. It links to the Nielsen's, Nancy Duck, Libby, who are in London, Sergio Pages in Florida. There's no way these names should link together at all. What they've done is create a network to move money illegally. Nancy Duck Jefferson, linked to Mallory Nielsen, Seattle University. Kelly DeMarco linked to Kennedy High School. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Sergio Pages came and married one of my nieces who's missing, Lacey Pages. He's linked to mafia out of Florida. So these guys all link together and try to move my money through London. So it's extremely illegal. They're also linked to the people in the rock bands that were using the Plymouth accounts at one time. Now they're trying to go in Sedgwick again today. Plymouth Housing, Plymouth Church, Plymouth Auto, Plymouth, Massachusetts. Okay, we know that Plymouth Church was robbed by Aoki and Scott Oki. Plymouth Church, downtown Seattle. That's where they got a lot of information that was sold for the ice arenas, the Bluebird information. That was my family's information that was sold from there. So when they built the Kraken Ice Arena up in Northgate, links to Fribley's crimes with Todd Lewicki trying to take over my shipping. Kraken Ice Arena, linked to the old Ice Arena accounts that were linked to my family. It's very confusing, correct? Yeah, well, this is the information though, okay? Why they're doubling people like a Bruzy, the Goldbergs are doubling a Bruzies and DeWalt, because they're linked to this wire that Baby Bernstein, Ari Bernstein, the Rosens have been running over the top illegally with the equipment that was taken by the satellites that was on Madison, that was set up for my family and my family's contacts. It's not for Temple de Hirsch or Sholem Temple or Sholem Synagogue out of Portland, or Sholem Cemetery out of Portland to use. Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle and Mountain View Cemetery up on, or whatever it's called, the other View Cemetery on Queen Anne Hill. Stolen information out of the Chicago cemeteries and moved over there, and they're using it illegally. What I'm saying is all true. Kiewit is a murder. Kiewit and Hoffman, they're murderers. This Rosalita's here was money left from my family, and it wasn't supposed to be moved. I'm by the Little Red Hen. I'm in Green Lake. It was museum stuff that was supposed to be used at a Green Lake possible location for an art museum at one time. That was sold by Cablin. Cablin's linked to Coblin in London, illegal sales of the art to London to cover up the crimes against my family. Linked to Biff Moss, who was shipping illegally and was apparently taken over as he tried to move money illegally into Samoa. So Biff Moss had linked to doing Hawaiian bands and Samoan bands. He screwed everything up. This mafia that came into Green Lake Park, this money that was up here was linked to my family, and a lot of it was art, and art museum money that never got sent to Seattle Art Museum, that Shapiro never got to steal with Mark Hudson in San Francisco, with the Port of San Francisco. This is important stuff. It's hard to decipher, but it's very, very important. Like these people that tried to build the North University of Washington Horticultural Center on my properties on North Lake Washington, which linked to a huge mafia that came in this town in 2011 and started murdering and using misappropriating money down there and then siphoning it out. The name is Sarah Hayden Reichert, okay? They also use the name Soest, S-O-E-S-T, okay? They're murderers. They're linked to Reisbeck, who was murdering people in South Seattle, okay? These are illegals in this trust fund. I think they're very linked to Baby Bernstein and illegal bank transfers linked to Biff Johnson, and at one time linked to Paul Allen's Brain Institute on my properties on South Lake Union. So this links to Kraken again, the Hyatt properties on South Lake Washington, okay? North Lake Washington, South Lake Washington. So Reichert went into the old horticulture, the old garden clubs, things like that, and broke in, and then she tried to say she was Riken, like Reisbeck, tried to say she owned all the Boeing properties. But let me explain something to you. Everything here is a half-hour conversation, but this transit information and Boaz Bernstein and these murders in Germany linked to Rosen, Reichert, Reisbeck, and the Scandinavian mafias that I've mentioned, this is a